Well, hello again. Now, if you saw the video that I posted a couple of days ago, you'll probably, you may recall that I said that I was going to do another video about that James, or is it Jamie Foxx, the UFO investigator in quote marks. This time he's in Alaska, and I've been watching, there's a series, Aliens in Alaska, and this one's the Alaskan Triangle. And there's a lot of people in Alaska that say they see UFOs. And they describe these strange, glowing things in the sky and what have you. Now, this is on the big screen, so I've recorded this on the hard drive, so there might be a bit of a lag here in the pausing and starting, but we'll give it a go.
One man who's on a journey to find out the truth is journalist and UFO investigator James Foxx. If the aliens are here, James wants to find them.
There has been controversy swirling around for decades as to some sort of secret underground potential alien base.
The location of the base is said to be inside Mount Hayes.
So that's why I'm here, to go and check out Mount Hayes and see if any of the accounts over the last several decades are remotely true.
Yeah, okay. Now, so James Foxx is he's determined to get to the bottom of this and find out the truth. So he's going to go and have a look at Mount Hayes. Now, I'll show you a bit of information a little bit later on in this video, but it's extremely unlikely there will be an alien base in Mount Hayes. It's less than 90 miles from Clear Air Force Base, which forms part of the Bermuda's radar system, which is connected to NORAD. It's got a phase, one of those pyramids with the phased array UHF radars. There's one at Thule in Greenland, sorry if I mispronounced that, and Fylingdales, of course, is another one, and they're all connected to NORAD. So if there was anything flying around in and out of Mount Hayes, there'd be an awful lot of people that would know about it. Okay, let's just go on to the next bit. Okay, here's from the same television program. Sorry, this is a bit shaky. I'm just recording this with the camera off the big screen. So very, very amateurish production quality, but sorry about that, but that's the way it is.
Augustine is a security officer in Fairbanks, the largest city in the Triangle's interior.
Okay, so that's the Alaska Triangle. Now I know Alaska's a very big place, but if you, just trying to think where HARP is, if you go directly south of that, Fairbanks is where HARP is, H-A-A-R-P. People seem to have forgotten about this. What's it, I'll have to look it up to see what HARP stands for, but basically it's a very high power RF ionospheric heater. So it's got a lot of cross dipoles that are fed with quite a lot of power that radiate circularly polarized signals, and they can steer the beam around where HARP is based, sort of plus or minus 30 degrees in all directions. So probably what is not well known is that when HARP is operating and it ionizes the ionosphere, it forms this plasma in the ionosphere. This plasma is actually visible. It would appear like a glowing ball or something like that. And these people are describing these glowing balls that are moving around rapidly, and of course radio beam can do that. It can go from one point to another point to another point to another point and create those plasmas very, very quickly. So I think that's what they're seeing. I don't think they're seeing any alien spacecraft. And it would be interesting to get hold of the logbooks from HARP and the times and dates of their UFO sightings and see if there's any kind of correspondence there, because I would put my money on what they're reporting being HARP, the HAARP project doing its thing. Okay, let's just see what he's got to say.
He was on night duty when he saw something in the sky that didn't look right.
So the day was May 13th, 2016 at 3 a.m. I was on patrol, being a security officer at the time, and this is where I actually started filming. Oh, what's that? Oh, wow.
A strange flashing light suddenly split in three.
Whoa. Scouting the area, I guess. When I saw it split, I was blown away, and I kept watching, and then it did it again, and I was like, okay, this is legit, something's going on right here. Oh, wow.
There's no satellite or aircraft that can divide into three like this.
No, but they're probably not. But HARP could probably produce that effect, I would think, with the beam steering. So I think that's probably is far more likely that that's HARP doing its thing than it is to be an alien spacecraft. Okay, let's just go on to the next bit. Okay, so we return to the Alaska Triangle program, and we have James Fox has hired a little Cessna, and the pilot's just flown him out to this Mount Hayes, and he's going to have a look at it to see if there's an alien base there. He's flown around it, but the weather's socked in, couldn't see very much. Surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, I should say, it just looked like an ordinary mountain. I mean, can you really imagine all the aliens there looking through the completely hidden windows and chuckling at him, really?
My God, we are literally in the middle of nowhere. Wow. Hey, how far are we from civilization?
About 90 miles from Healy.
So we're not making out of here without the airplane.
No, no, you're not walking out of here.
What?
So we're getting the impression here that it's just him and the pilot with the little aircraft. You're not walking out of here, you're not getting out of here without the airplane. Without the airplane, an American word. Not aeroplane, it's an airplane. But just remember that. There's just him and the pilot with the little Cessna there. We're not getting out of here without the airplane.
This is about as remote as I've ever been, that's for sure. I can't believe we just landed on a glacier. That was unbelievable.
James plans to scour the surface for any unusual signs of activity.
All right, you're on your own. Well, good luck, James. Thank you. I hope you find something before they find you.
Well, here we are, in the middle of nowhere. Boy, if you're gonna hide something, this would be a pretty good place to do it.
It's isolated and remote. In fact, it could be the exact spot that Lori found herself while remote viewing.
Too isolated.
Oh God, I didn't really intend to include any of this remote viewing nonsense. It's absolute twaddle, of course. No such thing as remote viewing.
Too remote. And too cold. Wherever I was felt very cold, very icy, and very flat and expansive.
Suddenly, flat in the middle of a mountain range begins to make sense. Here, the glacier is
So why would she remote view the outside and not the inside, I wonder?
flat, it becomes a bush pilot's runway.
I'm just going to go to a good vantage point. I brought some binoculars. I brought some electromagnetic gear.
It's probably one of those $30 novelty items from eBay, one of these tri-field things. Sort of thing UFO hunters normally use.
If Lori is right, James could right now be walking in the footsteps of aliens.
There was an area off to my left that was raised and rounded, and it felt like it was an entrance to these tunnels.
Well, wouldn't you be able to remote view yourself going into the tunnel to be able to tell us whether it was an entrance or not, if this remote viewing was real? Actually, just look at the... Now, he says he's with the pilot. So, see the three tracks there, the three parallel lines in the bottom left-hand corner. They're the tracks from the plane. And he's saying you're not getting out of here without an aircraft. Now, there's some tracks up here, isn't there, that look a lot more like vehicle tracks, don't they? What are these? What are these tracks here? What are these tracks here? Okay, well let's. Looks like quad bikes, maybe. Anyway, let's have a look.
Knowing it, it's possible that James could be walking straight to the entrance of the underground base. Is he going to find the evidence he's looking for?
Now that, to me, looks like vehicle tracks. Hang on a minute. I'll just have to fast forward this. Okay, back to the fanciful nonsense. Sorry about the Christmas tree, but I haven't really got time to edit it out. Sorry, guys.
There are more glaciers in Alaska than in the rest of the world put together. But under this glacier, right in the middle of the Alaska Triangle.
See that? There's no centre line for the tail skid. This is not the aircraft tracks, this is a vehicle track. You're not getting in and out of there without the aircraft, you know, just for dramatic effect, of course.
Investigator James Fox has reason to believe there could be a secret alien base.
Well, this is about as good as a vantage point as I can imagine.
Well, let's see the electromagnetic gear you've got with you, Jamie.
I'm just going to basically look for anything I can find that would be remotely artificial. Any vents, doors, any structures, anything artificial, basically.
If the base is here, then are UFO abductions behind all the mysterious disappearances in the triangle?
It's kind of an eerie feeling, especially knowing that I could never hike out of here on my own.
Well, you could get in the vehicle that's left the tracks behind you, James.
So far, I see a lot of snow and ice.
The last thing you would expect to see on a mountain in Alaska. This is what I call an investigator. Now, what is Mr. Fox not doing here? He doesn't have one of those, you know, one of those parabolic mics. You know, a mic on a little parabolic dish. They're really, really good for picking up the slightest sound. I've got one of those myself actually, and I stood outside, and I live on a hill, and I was pointing it down towards the flat, and I could hear someone laying out cutlery, and I couldn't see anything at all. So somebody, that's how good those things are. I could hear someone putting knives and forks around on a table, walking around a table, putting knives and forks down. I couldn't even see a house. Well, actually, I could see a house, but it was very, very distant. So, you know, he doesn't have one of those. He doesn't have a heat infrared camera. He's not looking to see if the mountain is warmer than the surrounds. You know, is part of the mountain any warmer than it should be compared with the other mountains? You know, when he moves the infrared camera around, you know, the infrared, he's not doing that, is he? And if you think about it, if there was an alien base under that mountain, how many spy satellites would pick up the fact that it was a bit warmer than everything else, or a bit colder, depending on the alien's taste, of course. You know, they might like the cold. It could be a little bit colder. It could be a little bit warmer. Now, he said he's got some sort of electromagnetic gizmo with him. Now, are we going to see that? Are we going to see that? See what he's doing with his electromagnetic test? I bet your life it's not a proper spectrum analyzer or anything like that. It's got to be one of these cheap and cheerful bloody things that all these comedians use.
I'm also seeing some weather coming in.
Okay. So now there's two people over by the plane. Seems to be quite more tracks even. So I'm guessing there's a vehicle that's hidden out of shot somewhere, and the other people are in the vehicle. There's so much rubbish in these bloody UFO programs, you know, that it's just, they're wall-to-wall nonsense, really. Exaggerated codswallop.
James's electromagnetic reader should detect if there's any unnatural background activity. This could be the sign of an alien presence.
I'm not detecting anything more than what seems to be normal background.
Yeah, but we're not shown what sort of device it is. We don't know what its capabilities are, do we? You know, I can't really get a good enough look at that to sort of look at it on the internet, you know, see if it's one of these eBay $50 things. It certainly doesn't look like a professional piece of equipment to me. I would expect, you know, something, I don't know, maybe sort of 10 inches by 5 inches by 5 inches, something like that, proper radio frequency spectrum analyzer. With a decent antenna system on it, you know, not that thing there that he's got there. That's a joke. This whole thing's a joke. This guy, honestly, I honestly get the impression that this James Fox guy couldn't investigate his own backside with both hands. I mean, he swallowed that Brazilian story hook, line and sinker, or certainly appeared to. Yeah, I don't think this guy's worth following, to be perfectly honest. He's not doing anything serious at all.
James, let's go. Before James can do any more investigating, Eric calls him back to the plane. They need to get out before...
So that's it. So he's flown there, he's had a walk around, and he's got his little electromagnetic thing out, and he's looked around with his binoculars. That's not what I call an investigation. Not by a very long chalk. And obviously it's over dramatised. It's got a remote viewer on there. No such thing as remote viewing. They're on their own. They're in the little plane. You can't get in and out without the plane. There's vehicle tracks there. There's obviously two people by the plane. And we're given the impression it's just him and the pilot that's going to investigate, you know. So the whole thing's just nonsense, absolute rubbish. All right, well, let's just have a look at HARP and Clear Air Force Base. It may be in reverse order. Okay, well, let's see why having an alien base inside Mount Hayes in Alaska would be a really bad idea. Okay, so this is Google Earth. This is Clear Space Force Station. So it's not an Air Force station anymore. It's a Space Force station. And SSPARS stands for Solid State Phased Array Radar System. And you can see these antennas here. These big discs here. There's another one on that facet there, I think. Actually, there might not be. But regardless, it's the it's part of BMEWS, the Ballistic Missile Early Warning System, and it's tied up with some other radar stations. Fylingdales in the UK has another one of these phased arrays. They removed the golf balls from there back in the 90s, I think, and they fitted one of these UHF phased arrays. There's another one in Thule in Greenland. So let's just have a quick look. We'll zoom out and we'll see where Clear Air Force Base is. There we go. Now, I'm pretty sure this is Mount Hayes, or maybe this is Mount Hayes, one or the other. But I did actually check it. I can't get Mount Hayes and Clear Air Force Station, Space Force Station on at the same time. But I did measure it, and it's less than 90 miles from Clear Air Force Station to Mount Hayes, whichever one of these that is. So you've got a ballistic missile early warning system just up the road from Mount Hayes. There's not going to be an alien base inside the mountain. Everybody and his dog would know about it, okay? So just a little bit more information on the radar. Oops, there we go. So it's only got two facets. But there's one of these at Fylingdales as well. These are lots and lots of UHF phased dipoles. It's not a microwave system, it's a UHF. It's about 400 and something megahertz it operates on. But it is going to detect anything. I'll show you the coverage from Clear Air Force Base from this radar. And it's certainly going to show up any kind of activity around those mountains, that's for sure. Okay, so here's BMEWS, the Ballistic Missile Early Warning System. I hope you can see that. So there's one in Fylingdales in the UK, Clear Alaska. I mean, look at the coverage from Clear Alaska. Look at the coverage of it from Clear Alaska. And Mount Hayes is sort of in here. So you're going to get some really strong echoes. it's right on top of it. There's another one down here. Okay, Beale, Cape Cod. There's Thule in Greenland. Thule, not quite sure how you pronounce that, to be perfectly honest. But that just gives you an idea of how ludicrous it would be to suggest there was an alien base in Mount Hayes, Alaska. And you've got Clear Air Force Base just up the road. It's part of BMEWS. And you can see the coverage from it. There's Alaska there. There's the outline of Alaska. And there's sort of Mount Hayes in there. It's right on top of it. As far as radar is concerned, it's less than 90 miles away. Okay, let's have a quick look at HARP. Okay, now this is why I think that all these UFO reports and, you know, aliens in Alaska and the Alaska Triangle and all this sort of stuff May very well be down to HARP. Now this is Google Earth again. We're looking down on the antenna field at HARP. Now HARP uses frequencies high in the HF spectrum, sort of between 2 and 30 megahertz. They've got a lot of transmitters there that were built by Continental Electronics. Custom built actually, because actually I'll show you a better picture of the antennas, and I'll explain what's going on there. But so this beams an awful lot of radio frequency energy, electromagnetic energy, up into the ionosphere, and it heats it so much so that it forms a plasma. The plasma is visible to the naked eye, and I think that's what a lot of these people are seeing or have seen. Now let's just have a quick look at where HARP is. Zooming out, zooming out, zooming out, zooming out, zooming out. There you go. And you get a lot of people reporting UFOs from all around here. Now HARP, remember, has a steerable beam. It can steer all around at 30 degrees from the station. So 30 degrees over there, 30 degrees over there, 30 degrees over there, all the way around 30 degrees. Steerable radio beam to create this ionospheric plasma. So remember, you've got Mount Hayes over here, and you've got the Air Force Base. Clear Air Force Base is up there somewhere. Now, let's just have a quick look at the antennas. Okay, so this is the antennas at HARP. Now these are crossed dipoles. I think they've actually got two sets of crossed dipoles from memory. For the bigger elements are for the lower frequencies, and the smaller elements are for the higher frequencies, simply because of the wavelength. You can just about see this wire mesh here, which is below the antennas. You can walk around below this mesh. And what this mesh does is reflect all this radio frequency energy, and there's megawatts of it, up into the ionosphere. And they can steer the beam by changing the phase of the antennas. They can steer the beam as it goes up and superheats certain parts of the ionosphere. And Continental Electronics have made these custom-built transmitters, and they've got two transmitters in each, feeding each antenna, one in this direction and one in this direction. And what they do is they feed them 90 degrees out of phase, which means you get a rotating wavefront coming off of these antennas. So they use circular polarization, and they fire this beam up into the air. They steer the beam around by changing the phase of the energy fed to the antennas. So that is the, I think that's something like 20 kilowatts each, but there's an awful lot of them, and it ends up being, I don't know, probably about, I think it's 2 or 3 megawatts of actual RF power they've got there. And the ERP would be, the effective radiated power would be a lot more than that. Imagine, a certain amount of power filling up a sphere. If you squashed all that into a very long sausage, that's sort of how ERP works. So it's not magic. You're not getting any free energy, but all it's doing is it's squashing all the power into a narrow beam. And if you were going to, if you measure the strength of that narrow beam at the furthest point from the transmitter, that would be the signal strength if you were running, supposing they say it's, 50 megawatts ERP. That would be the equivalent of running a 50 megawatt transmitter with an omnidirectional radiation pattern. That's all that means. So the actual signal strength would be the same as if it was 50 megawatts. So it's without actually generating the 50 megawatts, if you see what I mean. So lots and lots and lots of electromagnetic energy, high frequency electromagnetic energy. and heats up the ionosphere and actually makes it glow, forms a plasma that's visible to the naked eye. And I think a lot of people are seeing this and thinking it's a UFO. So, oops, there we go. Scientists produced densest artificial ionospheric plasma clouds. HARP was used to do this. Okay. And what does it look like in colour? There you go. Now, if you saw these appearing and disappearing in the sky and darting around the sky, what are you going to think? Especially if you don't see it with this sort of definition. If you don't see it with this sort of definition, because you're standing on the ground, it's a long way away. All you see is this glowing thing, and it's standing still, and it's moving from here to here, and then it's moving over to there, and then there's 2-3 more appearing around it. You're going to think, "Whoa, it's a swarm of UFOs, a UFO." When in fact, what you're actually looking at is a terrestrially generated plasma from the HARP radio experimental. Can't remember what it stands for now. Something. Yeah, it's too late in the day. I'm sure you can look it up, but it's man-made, using the HARP experimental ionospheric heating facility in Alaska. All right, well, I think that'll do. Thank you very much for watching, as always, and maybe I'll catch you again.